welcome back to the Crypto Kids podcast, a series of pods with the youngest stars in the crypto space. Super excited. I've got Jed with me today. Jed is 15. He's a child labor at Rari Capital. Fun fact, so after we do this podcast, Jack is going back to school. So it's 6 a.m. his time. Thanks for being here, Jed.
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much. So to kick us off, Jed, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and then how you got into crypto in the first place.
All right, I'm Jet. I work at Rari Capital as a smart contract dev. So I spend my days like writing code in Solidity. I started writing code when I was when I was like 10 or so. Started with Python and then moved on to a bunch of different languages, and I found Solidity and I just fell in love. I got into crypto through a friend. He told me about Solidity online, like through video games. I decided that I really wanted to learn it, and I knew Jay. He went to the same high school as me. Jay's the CEO of Rari Capital. He went to the same high school as me, so I was familiar with him, and one day I called him and like asked if I could join, and we did an interview, and yeah, the rest is history.
Are you guys still below 20, or are some of you like older now? For those who don't know, so Rari Capital is a teenager first group. So at some point they were all below 20.
At some point there were definitely a bunch of people under 20, but it's been like 2 years now. So we have people who are now like 21, 20 years old. And then we have a few people under, including me. So, our reputation was kind of become like child labor. On Twitter and around this space, yeah.
For those who don't know what Rari Capital is, Jet, can you just elaborate and tell us what you guys do at Rari?
Yeah, so Rari originally started out as a simple yield aggregator. However, we've definitely expanded since then. So we have a product called Fuse, which basically enables you to lend and borrow any asset that you want and create your own lending and borrowing pool, similar to like Compound and Aave, in a decentralized fashion. And now we're moving on to new chains. We also did a merge with the Fei team, the Fei stablecoin, under the Tribe asset, and we're super hyped for everything that we're going to be doing with them. We're going to be expanding a lot.
And what are some of your favorite topics within crypto? Like, what are some of the overarching themes that you're most excited about within this crypto revolution?
Beyond DeFi, I'm just really interested in the tech, because the way I got into it was through coding and writing smart contracts. So I'm really interested, how we're going to be like scaling the blockchain ecosystem, the new innovations that, that are going to come in the next few years. I'm just super interested in all of that stuff.
And I'm really curious to know, as a kid, did you already have this vision of you working in like a cutting edge tech field? Or did you just go with the flow? That you already knew they were going to do something great, or you just, you just paved your way through?
Yeah, I just went with the flow. When I was younger, I wanted to work at like Google or like a FANG company, or maybe create my own, but I never thought about crypto. And even when I was learning Solidity, I was thinking about, I'm learning this, it's just like a phase that I'm going through, and at some point I have to learn new languages so that I can get to Google. But now, after being here and after meeting so many people and after realizing that this is what I love, like I realize that I'm here to stay. So I've kind of shifted my dreams a bit.
And how is it working at Rari in terms of, pace? Or is it just exciting? Tell us a bit more about the inner workings.
I love it. That's the thing, like sometimes you get job offers from other companies, right? I don't think, I'd want to leave Rari. Like I love it. I love the people there. But if I were to think about leaving them, the thing that would go through my mind is like at Rari, they understand that, hey, like I might have a math test tomorrow and I can't finish this work and get it to you by the end of the week. Whereas at other companies, they don't really understand that. And in that sense, Rari is a lot more like laid back. However, I'd say that Rari is like part-time almost, because we all have school going on. But relative to school, Rari is so much more interesting So we love to like work super hard on it, right? Because that's kind of my escape from the really boring, you know, the boring work that I have to do for school. And that's why I love it, right? Like a lot of kids find that escape in video games or playing sports or hanging out with friends and stuff, and I do too. But I really found my passion in like writing code and interacting with these amazing people in crypto. And because every day I have to go to school for 9 hours and I have to sit there and do things I don't want to, like getting the chance to work on Rari is like what I look forward to, right? So during weekends and stuff, we spend the entire weekend working. I remember like last Christmas, we pulled an all-nighter. Like during our breaks, during our weekends, we're working. That's where we get like a lot of work done. And then, versus like school nights. And then I think a lot of people like take breaks, you know, during breaks and during weekends and stuff, but not us.
And you also want to go to uni. I know you haven't dropped out. We're actually a minority here. Most of them have dropped out. But do you plan on going to university at some point?
Yeah, yeah. I want to go to university, but even if I didn't, like, I don't have a choice. Like, my parents are making me go for sure.
Were your parents supportive of all of this?
Yeah.
Uh,
Want me to focus more on school. They've become a bit more open to it. Like at first, they were like telling my family members that like I was working at like a Ponzi scheme. But then I sat down with them one day and like explained how everything worked, and they were still less open to it. And then I showed them my wallet, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm making money here." Like, yeah, and then they're kind of opening up to it more, but they still think that school and like other things are more important.
can you share with us some of the current plans you guys have at Rari? What are you guys working on these days? If if it's not confidential.
There's some confidential stuff that we're doing, but more open. Like what I'm allowed to talk about is, so we refer to ourselves as the tribe. So right now this is really just Faye and Rari. So we have a stable coin, and then we have, our main product over at Rari is Fuse, which is a borrow and lending market. And those two work really well together because Faye can plug different Fuse pools in with liquidity. And what that will enable is, more liquidity for users to borrow. And then it will also ease the, like the interest rates that you have to pay when you're borrowing the assets. So yeah, I mean, we work really well together and our teams have really great chemistry, and we're just building a bunch of crazy stuff. And under the tribe, we want to bring in more protocols, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say which ones, but we're really trying to make the tribe like one of the biggest DAOs in crypto, if not the biggest DAO in crypto. And there's some stuff that we're going to be revealing, I believe, like at ETH Denver, that is like absolutely huge in my opinion, and I think it will change the entire space. But I'm not allowed to talk about that right now. I wish I was, but not yet. I think ETH Denver's in like 2 weeks, so you'll hear about it then.
What are some of the other current projects you've been looking at, beyond just Rari Capital and that you're super excited about? I know you're super deep into DeFi, so I really want to have your take on this.
Yeah, so there's one project in particular that I'm pretty excited about, and that project is called Primitive Finance. So basically they enable like options at the moment. Right now, like before Primitive, in crypto, the majority of options protocols required oracles, and they required external price, external information, and they relied on other protocols to get them that. Whereas Primitive is a primitive protocol, like as the name suggests, and basically what it enables you to do is like get options. Basically, it's in AMM where the LP token is an option, or it has the payout of an option. So you're not relying on oracles or anything. And in addition to that, it's literally an AMM, so you're making fees through traders participating and using the protocol. So it has like that double double use case, and it's powered by arbitrageurs. So you can create your own primitive pool with your own desired options payout, and arbitrageurs will make that possible, which is a lot better than what we currently have, where we have like external oracles, which are easily to be which can easily be manipulated. Whereas with primitive, it's a lot more difficult.
What about DAOs? Have you joined any online communities or not?
Honestly, one DAO that I am part of, like I haven't joined too much, but I am part of Crypto, which is founded by Gabriel Haynes. You may have seen him on Twitter, and we're basically just a decentralized version of Cameo. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy how this started. Like, it really made me realize like how cool this space is. Gabriel, I believe, like created, he applied to Cameo and he was rejected. So he was like, hey, maybe we should make a decentralized Cameo. Someone created a GitHub repository. By the end of the day,
for the listeners who don't know what Cameo is, can you just explain in a few sentences what it's about?
Oh, sorry about that. Cameo is basically a service that enables you to pay creators to make videos for you. So, for example, I could pay you $100 to make a video saying happy birthday to my friend. So, we wanted to create a decentralized version of that, because there's a lot of smaller creators who simply aren't getting accepted. Whereas with a decentralized version, anyone can get accepted because it's, decentralized. So the way it started was crazy, right? Gabriel announced that he was rejected from Cameo. So someone created a GitHub repository with a bit of code, and then Gabriel created a Discord server, and then by the end of the day, we were all on a call, like a team of UI designers, like smart contract developers, like business people, like marketing people. It was crazy, and within a few hours, like the rate that we were able to like gather this team of people who were, who were into this idea was absolutely insane. And I haven't been contributing too much just due to school. This happened during one of my breaks, where I'd contributed a lot, but yeah, like they're still moving really quickly. And yeah,
I think more generally, I think it says something about the way we work in the crypto space. Like in a traditional industry, you'd probably just work with your inner circle or people you know. Whereas in crypto, you post something and it may go viral, and you end up working with people from all around the world.
I mean, it's magical. Like, you just kind of tweet about it, and there are people who are interested, right? So they'll like reach out to you, they'll hit you up and be like, hey, I want to contribute to this. And if you have enough of those, I mean, you don't even need enough of those people, but if the idea is really likable, then a lot of people will contribute to that. Yeah, I mean, it was just magical. Like, I wasn't expecting like a group of 20 people to just start contributing to some random project they saw on the internet within a day, but that's what happened, and it was like astonishing.
And beyond the speed and also the collaborative aspect, what would you say are some of the particularities of this industry? I guess I'm trying to understand if there's something special about our generation or the times we're living in. I read that it's a combination of factors like crisis, so that will be COVID, and diversity. So is there something particular in your opinion?
There's a lot to it, because there's so many different groups of people working in and investing in crypto, right? You have like normal people who are investing through Robinhood or Coinbase, and then you have like crazy developers, staying up all night like every day just to work on different projects. And yeah, I mean, I think Twitter is the center of the crypto culture, at least from what I've experienced, like in DeFi. Twitter's where I met you. Twitter's where I met a bunch of different people. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the home of crypto. It's where you meet a majority of the people and you learn a lot about different projects. through Twitter, but it's kind of hard to say what the crypto culture is just because it's a very like large area, and it has so many different types of people.
You used to be a gamer, right? Do you still play games?
Honestly, I haven't like interacted with them too much. I know that there were some. I forgot there was a game on XDie. I forgot the name of it. It seemed really interesting. I was just never whitelisted, so I didn't get to play it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see like the evolution of crypto games. The games that I were playing were like Valorant, like super high intensity, whereas like with crypto games, they're a lot less like that. It's because of, gas fees and transactions and all of that stuff. Um, they're a lot slower. Like if you wanted to have like a like high intensity game, it'd be kind of funny. Like you'd have to pay a bunch of money every second to like make your character move. Um, yeah. So
Looking ahead, where do you see crypto going? Without
it's hard to tell. I think we've talked about this, but I'm praying that like it's more decentralized. Like, there's a lot of people who believe that like a centralized like government run, that the future of crypto is centralized and government run, right? Like issued by the government. They think that, as we saw with China blocking Bitcoin and Ethereum miners and also DeFi protocols and other crypto related sites and exchanges. Um, if other countries could do that, right? Like we're kind of screwed. So, yeah, I mean, I think that in 5 to 10 years, if everything goes as planned, like, and if we are more decentralized, I'm pretty excited for that because, as I said earlier, like I'm really into the tech aspect of everything, and I think like, crypto moves like really fast. Like the running joke in crypto is that like one day in real life is like 7 days in crypto, because, yeah, I mean, we just move really quickly, and there's so many different innovations happening all the time. So in 5 to 10 years, like I'm really excited to see all the crazy stuff that people would have built. I mean, just like going back to the culture, I think it's like, yeah, I mean, the culture in crypto is building and shipping things quickly.
you're definitely an idealist. Good news is my dad also calls me an idealist. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but now we both are. Do you think it's also why the space is that creative? Because all the youth has, such high aspirations and is a little bit idealist.
I mean, yeah, I think that a lot of kids have really high aspirations, and that's how it works, right? When we were all younger, we all dreamed about becoming astronauts and, becoming like basketball players or whatever, which are really big dreams. And then as we grow up, we realize that, it might not be possible, and we end up working desk jobs. So that's why I'm really excited about kids being in crypto, because we have a lot of aspirations, and we work to make those dreams into realities. At least the kids that I've met, and at least the people that I work with at Rari, right? And that's why you've seen like so much innovation from kids. Like I'm gonna use Rari as an example because I know that the most. Like for a long time, I've felt that of all the DeFi protocols, many of which have like a much larger impact. We're doing like a lot. We're building multiple products at the same time, and you're not going to see that in many other like DeFi protocols. And there's a lot of reasons for why that is, but I think one of them is because like being younger, we have higher aspirations, right? And I don't want to be ageist or anything, because I know like when you're an adult, you also have higher aspirations. But as a kid, like we're definitely pretty idealist, and
We've also been working on a highly confidential project at Rari. Do you want to tell us more about the new standard you're working on?
4626 is basically an Ethereum improvement proposal that I made originally with Joey Santoro and Transmissions 11. We've brought a bunch of like super smart people on board. And basically what it enables, it's a standard similar to ERC20, and oops, sorry, sometimes Siri comes up, and all my audio gets cut off. But all right, thanks. So basically what ERP 4626 is, or ERC 4626. It's a standard similar to ERC 20 or ERC 721. Right now, with different yield aggregators and yield-bearing tokens, every protocol has its own interface. So for example, if I wanted to integrate Yearn into my protocol, I'd have to write separate code, get it audited, and that's a really lengthy process. And I think one really good example is Alchemix, which is a protocol. And so the CEO, Scoopy, kind of talks online about how, why 4626 is so revolutionary and why it will help so much. Every time they want to create or they want to integrate a new protocol, they have to write the code, they have to get it audited, and that can take months at a time. So that's prevented them from releasing a bunch of different stuff. And with 4626, if everyone adheres to that standard, integrating new protocols is going to be super simple, right? Because you literally just have the 4626 interface, and then you can just plug in any address and interact with it through that, right? Similar to ERC20, how every ERC20 token follows the same standard, right? One thing I've talked about with other people is like with Uniswap, if I wanted to create a pool with two different tokens, it's simple. I can just go and deploy that pool. Now, with the yield-bearing like token space and projects surrounding that, the equivalent, like if I were to compare it to Uniswap, would be every time we wanted to deploy a Uniswap pool, you'd have to write separate code, like rewrite the entire pair contracts, the entire protocol, and then get that audited. And that would be a really lengthy process. Like imagine if that were the case, right? Imagine, Uniswap wouldn't really be a thing if that were the case and if we didn't have that ERC20 standard. So I'm really excited for 4626 because I think it opens up like so many different doors and enables so many different possibilities for things that we can build and create. And it will also like rapidly speed up the developer process. And yeah, I'm just pretty hyped for that. Yeah.
Why the number? Why 4626? It took me a while to understand the not free Lao joke. So
I think that was just the number assigned to us. Yeah. So like in my Twitter handle, Twitter name, you'll see like 4 + 6 = 26, which obviously isn't true, but that's just kind of like the I think like we saw these like Twitter handle memes from Olympus DAO, like the OWN project, where you might have seen like 3 in people's names. So we had the idea like, hey, let's just do 4 + 6 + 26, or sorry, 4 + 6 = 26, to kind of like represent 4626.
I know you also told me once that you were, really worried about the metaverse. I don't understand why. Like that's a very unconventional answer. Can you tell us why? What do you think about the metaverse and why you're a little bit worried?
I mean, yeah, right now the metaverse, like the definition of metaverse isn't really clear, and I'm excited to see how that's going because on one side you have like Facebook, or as they rebranded to Meta, and their individual companies, and on the other side you have crypto culture and NFTs and all of these individual creators building out these projects. So I'm excited to see how those two will clash, right? Like Meta versus like the people almost. One thing I'm nervous about is like Facebook doesn't have a good track record of like of keeping users' privacy safe and like being like a moral company, right? And now they're kind of expanding into this like metaverse idea, and I'm nervous, to see what they're gonna do with the information that we provide them. And that's why I'm really hoping that the crypto culture will win. But it's such a new topic that, like, yeah, it's hard to define.
What's your worst crypto nightmare?
What's my worst crypto nightmare? I think Rari getting hacked. I remember that happened a little while ago, and like, there's this guy on Twitter named Chris Black who like hates me, and he wrote this like really cryptic message, like, oh, like, you guys will get through this, like, just make sure to take responsibility. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And I rushed downstairs, and like everyone's on a call, and we had lost like $15 million, and it was just a really like scary experience. And now we're working on paying those users back, but it wasn't like, it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't fun, and it was pretty, I mean, obviously it wasn't fun, but it wasn't like yeah, it was a pretty like, yeah, I like go to bed like scared that, I'm gonna like wake up to that.
All the more so because I guess you're the dev. So, but since this space is open source, don't you have auditors or teams looking at your code?
In crypto, we have like auditors who review your code and make sure that it's safe. And I've noticed that like sometimes they don't find vulnerabilities, and they can make mistakes sometimes, and that's what really scares me. And some projects that I've seen, like they had 4 teams of auditors of like some of the best of the best, and they still didn't catch vulnerabilities. And I'm just worried that through the projects that I build and the projects that we work on, in the tribe, like problems like that are gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay, what is something you feel like you have yet to achieve and you'd like to be remembered by? Like, I'd say like Vitalik Buterin is like, the little, father in the space, like Ethereum God. Same thing for like Satoshi Nakamoto, he's remembered for like Bitcoin. What is something that you'd like to achieve and you'd like to be remembered by?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know there's so much that I haven't achieved. Like I'm just beginning. And I've really started like putting in a lot of effort and caring a lot more. And like, I wake up at 5 and I code, and I spend like I'm trying to spend every minute that I have like working and trying to learn and trying to better myself. And I think like, after that's kicked in, like there's so much more that I could achieve. I haven't like thought about it. Like I've always just gone with the flow. Like I never envisioned myself like working at a company at 15, let alone like crypto, right? I thought I'd just be building like, random projects like I used to. And I'm just going with the flow, but I think that, this is only my start. Like, in the next few years, like I'm gonna go from here to here.
And last but not least, what advice would you share with the youth? Either that's already in crypto or that's, outside of crypto and looking to get on board. What advice would you share with them?
All right. So like for kids who are trying to get into crypto, or for kids who are already into crypto, I think like the best thing you can do is like meet as many people as you can, right? Whenever I am looking into a project and I don't understand it, I like reach directly out to one of their developers or their CEO or whoever understands the project the best. And I think building out those connections is what's really important, whether it's online or in real life. It's really great to have like a lot of good connections. And there's so many like really nice and welcoming and awesome people in crypto that would be willing to like take you under their arm and like show you around. And I think, yeah, I mean, there's different ways you could do this via Discord, via Twitter, just interacting with different people around the space.